as the first stirring of the new spring in the womb of Mother Earth, a new year coming for them, a new spring, I should say, the growing season. And when you get to the first day of spring, which is Astarte, or the day of Ashtaroth, and then on to Beltane, May 1st. I'll come back to these in a moment. I just want to get them out here for you. Beltane is the Druid, which is the male witchcraft, the Druid New Year. Incidentally, Rowan Williams, the head of the Church of England, is a Druid witch. I've got a picture of him in ceremony. And then you have Midsummer, which is June 21st. Actually, I should say Beltane's May 1st. Then Midsummer is June 21st. Lunasa, that's a Scotch Gaelic word. It's a very funny spelling to it, LughnasAid, Lunasa. That is the Harvest of Souls, the Harvest Festival of the Witches, which is August the 1st. Then you have Mabon, which is the fall equinox, or pardon me, the fall equinox, yes, that's right, 21st of September. And that brings you back again to Halloween is the next one. Now, just as an example of how this works, why is it that George W. Bush, a skull and bonesman, and I stood there at the Tomb of the Skull and Bones. I've been there. In fact, they threw me out of there. But I didn't get in the building, but I was at the building. But anyway, why did George W. Bush, who laid naked in a stone coffin, a sarcophagus, and was born again into a satanic order, why then did he choose to attack Iraq? We first went in with our shock and awe. He went in right on Astarte Day. And then, 13 weeks later, on May the 1st, Beltane, a witch's Sabbath, he landed on the USS Abraham Lincoln in that jet fighter and proclaimed victory.
That's right. What a coincidence.
Yeah, one Sabbath to the other, 13 weeks apart. See, every one of these Sabbaths, Joyce, is 13 weeks apart. Again, if you take a circle and you quarter it, and then you cross-quarter it, you come up with 8 segments. The quarter Sabbaths are powerful. The cross-quarter Sabbaths are the most powerful. And it was a cross-quarter Sabbath when he landed that plane. Actually, he didn't land it. The other pilot really landed it. Bush tried to land it several times and failed, but they didn't publish that. But he proclaimed victory on the Druid High Sabbath of Beltane, and it was far from a victory.
Yeah, there was no victory. Made no sense whatsoever for him to be doing that. What was he signaling? What was he saying by doing that on a Sabbath? What was he doing?
Well, he was actually, what he was doing there is he was actually falling into pattern with those that were suborned, in other words, hired to advise him. In other words, he has to follow occult pattern. It's essential.
Interesting. We'll be back after this 3-minute break, and we're going to find out what other events happened on those days and why. Stay tuned. Back with Pastor J. Meyer. David J. Meyer, this is Joyce Riley and the Power Hour. Welcome back to the Power Hour radio show. Thank you for joining us today. 8 minutes after the hour, we're joined by Pastor David J. Meyer. Those of you who would like to get your phone calls in, I'm going to let you start lining up. But this is first-time callers only. Hey, this is an honor system, everybody. An honor system. If you have never been able to talk to Pastor David J. Meyer, this is your chance to do it. And I know so many of you felt honored to be able to call in and just have his his feedback on your questions. So give us a call, 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. Pastor Meyer, we were talking about the Sabbaths and the events that occur around these Sabbaths, and the biggest one, or the one we just talked about, the beginning of the shock and awe, or the war, and the ending of it May 1st. What other events have occurred on those Sabbaths that you think were not coincidence?
Well, there are actually so many. so many different ones, pardon me. Just let's go back into ancient history, World War I, okay? Just for an example. World War I ended on the 11th, the armistice was signed in the 11th month, the 11th day, the 11th hour. Now, why all those 11s? What is the 11th sign of the zodiac? Aquarius. This was the war to end all wars. This was set up on purpose. They didn't just pick those times randomly.
Oh, it just sounds cool. 11th day, 11th hour, 11th month. That just sounds cool.
11, 11, 11.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, which you run it together, you come up with a 33, which is kind of interesting, too, which is the sacred number of the Masonic Lodge. But there are all kinds of interesting things that way. But bringing it more up to date, let's look at what's going on. Okay, you've got this Copenhagen thing, which started right after the full moon before Yule, okay? You've got, but which, by the way, is in chaos right now. I mean, they have really flipped out over there.
Oh, we need to mention that also. I did not mention that in the news, that the head of the whole thing kind of walked out on them today. Several poor countries, which I don't know what the definition is because we're one of the poorest, but they walked out. I mean, the thing is in chaos. You're right.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful thing because prayers are answered. When I talk about all these things, I want people to bear in mind that we're talking, we who know our God, we are Christians, we know God's power is greater. That's why we should never be afraid of this stuff. But we should still know these things because, as the Apostle Paul said, we are not ignorant of his devices, meaning Satan's devices. And astrology, the occult, the witches' Sabbaths, those are all Satan's devices. Now, we've got the Sabbath of Yule coming up, which people interpret to mean Christmas, and that's another subject entirely, but Yule is a witch's Sabbath, the day the sun god died, and in 3 days and 3 nights later rises again to prominence where the days start getting longer. All right? Now, Barack Obama is running like mad to get this thing pushed through. It's got to be done by the time of the Sabbath. He's called the Democrats to the White House. He says, look, we've got to get this done. He's desperate because this is their pattern.
Yeah, and they made that statement the other day. Last night they said, even if we have to come in on December 23rd, we will do it. I thought that was so strange that they would be willing to do that.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Barack Obama, I heard it from his own mouth, he said the stars are aligned for right now.
No.
Absolutely. And I have it in print as well from reliable news sources, if there be such things. But, no, he actually said that.
That would have to be the Power Hour, so I don't know that.
Right. But no, I saw it in an AP article where he actually quoted him as saying it. But I heard him say it, too, on a video clip. Whoa. He said that the stars are aligned for right now.
Okay, and then one other thing I want to mention then is I said to you during the break, next thing you're going to tell me is that Princess Di's death had something to do with this timing.
Yeah, actually it did. She died at the time of the witch's Sabbath of Lunasa, which of course is August the 1st, and she was killed when her car ran into the 13th pillar in that tunnel, the 13th, and if you start adding these things up, and I've watched this all through history, and for the past 28 years I've watched it happen as it happened, and it never fails. Everything seems to circulate around these witches' Sabbaths, major events. I wish I had more of them just laid out on a list for you. Maybe I could do that next time.
That would be interesting to look at. But it seems to me this is a lot of work to be planning all this stuff. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the, that's a lot of work. Why do they do this? Let's get down to the bottom line of all of this. Why do they do this? Who are they paying homage to? What are they trying to accomplish by this?
Well, it's Satan's pattern. Satan himself, the prince of the power of the air. He knows that to make his system work, he has to have a system. He can't just randomly go out and cause trouble. But when you talk about how he has legions of spirits, a legion is a regiment. It's 2,000 soldiers, okay? And in the Roman army, the centurions and the legions and the cohorts and all that, very regimented. So Satan has a plan, and astrology is how he makes his plan work, his plan and his pattern. So those who follow him, they're honoring him. They're walking in obedience to the disobedient one, and they are pushing forth his agenda by pattern and by design, and they stay with the script. They're very strict about that.
Okay, there